everybody, it's Seth and I'm here with one of the most highly anticipated electric unicycles of 2022, the Leaperkim Sherman S. Now if you haven't heard about the Leaperkim Sherman S, I think you must have been under a rock because everybody's talking about it. The thing that they're talking about is that this thing has suspension. This is the first Leaperkim product that has had suspension that they've released. Now they've had a lot of success with their Veteran Sherman, their Veteran Sherman Max, and now the Sherman S. And I'll have to tell you, this thing is a beast. This wheel came to me from Free Motion Shop. This is kind of a different suspension than the wheels that I've seen before. I do have an S22 and that has a shock in the back, but what is different about the Sherman S is that there are two shocks right in line with the pedals. It's a Fast Ace suspension. If you're not familiar with Fast Ace, they're the ones that make the suspension for the Sur-Ron motorcycles. So they have quite a bit of experience. It has a lot of suspension adjustments. There are two dials on the top of this wheel that allow you to both adjust the compression and the rebound. One of the shocks gives you compression tuning, the other shock gives you the rebound tuning. So you can control how fast it goes down and how fast it comes back up. I have played around a lot with the suspension. I have to tell you, it's highly customizable. So no matter what type of terrain you're on and your weight, you can tune this wheel for the ride that you like. My friends and I have put this wheel through its paces. We started at Apple Valley Speedway out in California. We probably had 40 or 50 people tested out, all the way out to Denver, Colorado, where we had it for a demo ride at Ruby Hill Bike Park. No matter what terrain we threw at this wheel, it was able to eat it right up. We've had it on dirt jumps, dirt trails, downstairs, on the street, on the track, all over the place, and anything that we threw at this wheel, it was able to just glide right over effortlessly. I was a little bit skeptical about this wheel simply because typically I ride the RSHT. I'm a jumper and that's what I like for the torque that it has. I didn't think that this thing was going to have torque. I was a little bit unsure on the suspension, but I've been pleasantly surprised. Now I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. I will tell you the things that I don't like about this wheel, but I'll also tell you the things that I really like about this wheel. One of the things that I really like about the new Sherman S is this handle right on front. The thing that I like about that handle on front is when you want to power brake, you can pull back on that handle and it gives you some additional leverage. You can also push down on that handle, which gives you additional momentum to climb hills. I wasn't too thrilled with the pads. Now these pads, they're a foam pad. They're probably better than a lot of the pads that you get with other manufacturers, but I'd say just like other manufacturers' pads, get rid of them. Get yourself some Grizzly pads or some E-Rides pads. I really like the E-Rides pads a lot more than the stock pads that came with the wheel. With the stock pads, you have no adjustment whatsoever, as opposed to the E-Rides pads where you can move them around anywhere you want on the side of the wheel to give yourself that perfect balance of torque and braking. Now, since this is a pre-production model, I don't want to be too critical about it, but there are a couple of things that I wasn't really happy with right out of the box. For one, it was missing 4 screws, so I had to go to the local hardware store and get a couple extra screws just to make it safe to ride. The second thing that I wasn't happy with was the charger wasn't working. So, Leaperkim, I know you provide a checklist that has all of these things listed on it, but 2 of the items that you checked off that were complete weren't complete. I really hope for a day when the manufacturers can get it together. The trolley handle is one thing I'm not too thrilled with this wheel. As you can see here, there's a little lift switch and then the trolley handle pops up. It would be really nice if that was spring-loaded so you could pop it up and the trolley handle would flip forward, but that's not the case. In addition to that, it's kind of flimsy and it gets a little unwieldy. A couple of the other reviewers mentioned that the kickstand isn't too solid. I haven't had that problem on this model. When I assembled the kickstand, it has 2 screws that go in from each side, and I'll have to tell you, that thing is pretty sturdy actually. So sturdy, in fact, that when we hit jumps, the kickstand actually drags a little bit when the inclines are steep, and it hasn't shown any signs of wear or breaking or anything. If you do plan to hit jumps with the Sherman S, I would advise on taking the kickstand off completely. Did I say the jump word? Yes, that's right, this Sherman will take jumps. That's something that Leaperkim has had a problem with in the past. We've had a lot of issues with the Veteran Shermans and burning up control boards and things like that. I am happy to inform you Veteran Sherman lovers that if you like to jump or want to learn to jump, this thing will send. Now I'm going to take you to Ruby Hills Bike Park where my friend Dylan Wells Baker took the Sherman S off some massive jumps. The Sherman S does have a display on the front with 4 buttons. That display is very easily readable in light, which is something that other wheels have had a problem with in the past. So I do like the nice big bright screen on the top. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find in the software for the Sherman S the lateral tilt angle. So lateral tilt angle is the amount of angle that a wheel can go over to the side before it cuts out for safety reasons. Unfortunately, we did have a couple cutouts on the Sherman S on trails going around berms and things like that. So if you can just tell how cushy that suspension is. Oh no! We got a cutoff.
I knew it! Oh, I'm so
40,
happy that happened.
45 degree cutoff. 45 degree cutoff, folks. We're gonna get back to Cooler Joe once he gets back up. So if you do plan to trail ride, make sure that you don't take that over the 45 degree angle or you might run into problems. As far as the build quality of this Sherman S, I was very, very impressed. There is an integrated magnesium alloy battery cover along with a metal pedal that is highly adjustable. Free Motion Shop has added some membrane to allow for additional waterproofing around those batteries as well as flame retardant. That may be one factor that you consider when you decide who to purchase your Sherman S from. The pedals also have the adjustment to make the pedals larger. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that because the pedals are already large as it seems. When you have a battery the size of the Sherman S, you're going to go on long range rides. And I don't know about you, but when I get tired, I like to sit down. What's nice about the Sherman S is it does have this pad on top for seated riding, which makes it a little bit more comfortable than sitting on, say, an RS. There are 2 charging ports located right here in the front. I'm not really thrilled with the cover or how to access these. It would have been nice if they tucked them in the back or tucked them underneath like some of the other wheel manufacturers. Getting this charging port cover back on can be kind of a pain in the neck. So that's another little pet peeve of mine. Not really thrilled with where they put the charging ports or the charging port cover. Now this wheel is heavy. It's around 100 pounds, but these 2 integrated handles in the front and the back make it a little bit easier for you to move it around. With that said, if you're going to have to traverse up and down stairs on a regular basis, the Sherman S is going to be a pain in your back and your neck. The lights on the Sherman S are big and they're bright. Actually, Douglas Marshall commented that the front lights look a little bit like googly eyes, which I have to concur, but they are bright. The other thing I like is that they're adjustable. Nobody wants to be shining in people's eyes when you're on the bike path or in a car lane, so it allows you to adjust that. Also, the beeper is located underneath the light, which makes it very easy to hear the beeps. It's not buried down inside the shell, which is really nice for a change. The Sherman S came stock with the Kenda K62 tires, and I'll have to tell you, I am a big fan of this tire. It is not a street tire, it's a knobby tire. But knobby tires are good. Knobby tires are nice because you never know when the condition of the street is going to change. Maybe you're going to hit some gravel or hit some sand. Having the knobby tire gives you a little bit of extra assurance. You sacrifice a little bit on the noise, you sacrifice a little bit on the range, but I'll take a sure-footed knobby tire over a street tire any day of the week. Speaking of tire changes, the tire change on this thing is not as easy as I think it should be. Unfortunately, in order to change the tire, you have to remove all the screws on the top, which allows you to access the control board, then also the screws on the sides so that you can pull the entire side panel off. Just to let you know, you're going to want to plan accordingly, a couple hours probably at least. One of the things that's haunted Leaperkim in the past has been their rims. If you know a friend that's got a veteran Sherman, you probably know a friend that has a bent veteran Sherman rim or even worse, broken. This Sherman S has an incredibly strong rim. In all of the jumping and the stairs, we haven't even come close to bending the rim. I think that they finally got it right on this rim. It's a lot more stout than the other rims. It has more spokes, therefore more support. Leaperkim, you hit it out of the park here. Other manufacturers, if you're watching, take a look at what Leaperkim's doing with their rims, and maybe we can get some stronger rims in the future. Another nice thing about this wheel is it does have an integrated mudguard, so you won't have to fashion a mudguard or buy one aftermarket. This magnesium alloy battery case has a nice flat surface so that you can mount pads, you can mount accessories, and other things to customize your wheel. I'm really impressed with the suspension on this wheel. I think that that's the biggest thing that this wheel has going for it. You know, other people have commented the Master goes faster, the Master this, the Master that. The Master bottoms out on a lot of trails. The Master, they had to release aftermarket parts in order to prevent that from happening. Right out of the box, there's enough adjustability in this wheel, in the shocks, that a heavy rider could ride it, a lighter rider could ride it just by adjusting the shocks. It does come in two flavors, the 58 pound and the 62 pound. Everybody in the West should opt for the 62 pound just because we have heavier riders over here. You're not going to have this wheel forever. When you want to pass it on, you don't want the next rider to be handicapped by having a lighter shock than it should have. A couple other things that are kind of cool. I don't know if I showed you guys the lasers or not, but there's some lasers that kind of shoot out from the back here. Little added safety, show the people behind you where you are on the road. There is a firmware update for this wheel, so if you do get this wheel, make sure you apply that firmware update. There's a new speed mode. Let me show you how to access that. So once you update the firmware, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and power it on. Once you power it on, you hold down the OK button, and that gets you into the menu. If you hit OK, that will cycle through. So right now we're on strong mode. If we want to change it to soft, to medium, or strong, we're going to leave it on strong. And then you cycle to the next. PAA, I'm not exactly sure what that is. Tilt back is set for 173 miles an hour. I think we're safe there. OS alarm, also set for 173 miles an hour. Brightness of the display, 99%. Level 0. Sleep mode. Miles per hour or kilometers per hour. So we'll go ahead and leave that on miles per hour. Voltage. Light mode is on, and this is high speed mode. High speed mode is on. If you want to turn high speed mode off, you just cycle it like that. We're going to go ahead and leave that on, and then you hold down the button to exit. So that's how you set the speed mode to high. If you guys are going to be riding in traffic, riding with cars, that might be a good idea. Gives yourself a little extra oomph to get after it before you hit the beeps. It's a safety feature. I think what they probably did is they raised the threshold for the beeps from 70% to 80%, right about the normal place where normal manufacturers have that safety margin set. Before, I was getting beeps right around 43 miles an hour. With the speed mode set to high, it raised that up to around 48.3 miles per hour. Now, I did have 85% battery, and I was kind of going into a headwind, so I think that you could probably push it up a lot higher than that. But I highly advise against riding against beeps. Anytime you hear your wheel beeping, it means, hey, it's time to slow down. But you do you. It's up to you how fast you want to go and how much you want to push those safety margins. All right, guys, so that concludes my review of the Sherman S. It's a very solid wheel, and I think there's a lot of value here, even though it has such a high price. I wouldn't buy this wheel just for trail riding, but if I wanted an all-around wheel that could do trails and jumps, plus a long-range cruiser, plus streets, stairs, all kinds of stuff, I think that this is a very well-rounded wheel, although it is heavy. Also, it's a 100-volt wheel, so it's a little bit behind some of the other wheels. If you do decide to purchase this wheel, I'd consider going through Free Motion Shop because they have worked with Leaperkim to provide some additional features inside the battery. It's really well built, it's solid, it has a revolutionary shock system, and I think it's a very comfortable wheel to ride, especially if you're a larger rider. Next, this wheel is going to go out to Big Boy Fast Boy. We're going to be doing some range tests. Once Big Boy Fast Boy and I get done with it, this is going to go out to Black Cobra. Black Cobra is going to put it through its paces, so make sure you subscribe to Big Boy Fast Boy's channel and the Black Cobra if you haven't already. If you feel like you got something out of this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up and the notification bell so that you can be notified when we bring you more exciting information from the world of electric unicycles. We'll see you next time.